As the message continues, it shifts toward assigning moral and emotional weight to an undefined action, presenting it as a deliberate choice with serious consequences. However, no clear description is provided of what was actually done, which makes the claim impossible to evaluate in practical terms. Instead, the language focuses on reinforcing authority and emotional seriousness, using phrases that emphasize inevitability and consequence, without offering factual grounding. It also introduces the idea of internal connection or intuition, suggesting that the reader's emotional state is proof that something external has occurred. This is a common rhetorical pattern, where subjective feelings are treated as confirmation of objective events, even though emotions alone cannot verify external reality. The message then reframes concern as something beyond anger, labeling it as grief, which serves to deepen emotional engagement while maintaining ambiguity about the actual situation. By invoking a parental or protective tone, it attempts to establish credibility through familiarity and emotional resonance rather than evidence. In reality, responsible communication about real events requires clarity, specifics, and verifiable context so that actions and consequences can be understood accurately. Without those elements, what remains is a constructed narrative designed to evoke reaction rather than convey information. It is also important to recognize how quickly such framing can influence perception, especially when it involves family relationships and urgency. When stripped of its dramatic language, the message does not provide actionable facts, only assertions wrapped in emotional intensity. The most grounded way to interpret it is as a piece of persuasive storytelling, rather than a reflection of actual events, reminding us that strong emotional tone does not automatically correspond to truth, and that clarity always depends on specifics, not suggestion. I shaped his destiny long before he took his first step. He was designed for purpose, for impact, for spiritual greatness, not for collapse, not for compromise, and certainly not for the self-sabotage he stepped into today. My child, I am not disappointed because he broke a rule. I am grieved because he broke alignment with the path that was rising before him. He was standing at the edge of something extraordinary. A blessing was ready, so close it could have touched his fingertips. A spiritual shift was seconds away. A divine opportunity was positioned directly in front of him, one that you yourself prayed for, cried for, pleaded for. And when the moment came, when the test appeared, when the opportunity required courage, he stepped away. My beloved child, the part that cuts deepest is this: he knew what he was doing. He felt the warning. He heard the whisper inside that told him to resist. He sensed the divine pull urging him to choose differently, but he silenced that voice. He ignored the tug. He smothered the conviction. He allowed the temptation to feel more truthful than the truth itself. And that is why my favor has paused. Not disappeared, not dissolved, not gone forever. Just paused, frozen, suspended, waiting for the misalignment in him to be acknowledged and corrected. Because I do not release breakthrough into hands that are still gripping rebellion. I do not pour blessing onto hearts that knowingly walk in the opposite direction of their calling. My child, breathe. I know your heart is racing. I know questions are rising inside you like a storm. You are wondering what he did, why it is so serious, and what consequences now await him. And the questions are valid. You deserve answers. You deserve clarity, and I will give you both. But before I reveal anything further, you need to know something vital. Your son is not abandoned. I have not turned away from him. I have not erased his destiny. I have not withdrawn my love. If I had done those things, you would not be hearing this message right now. My warnings are not signs of rejection. They are signs of hope. I only warn those I still intend to restore. I only expose what I still desire to heal. I only reveal truth to those whose future still matters. My child, you ask silently, Lord, can this be fixed? Yes. Lord, can he return? Yes. Lord, can the blessing come back? Yes. But the path back is not automatic. It requires alignment. It requires humility. It requires a turning of the heart. And that turning begins not with him, but with you. You are not just his parent. You are the intercessor assigned to your household. Your prayers have shielded him from traps he never saw. Your tears have softened consequences that would have crushed him. Your faith has pulled him away from spiritual cliffs he didn't know he was standing on. He does not understand how often your voice has been a wall between him and the enemy. But today, something different is needed from you, because what he stepped into today has spiritual weight. It has momentum. It has consequences that have already begun to unfold. And if no one stands in the gap, if no one intercedes, if no one pulls heaven into the situation, the aftermath of his decision will grow. My child, this is not a small matter. This isn't something he can hide and hope it disappears. This isn't a slip-up waiting to fade with time. This is a doorway he opened, a doorway that must now be closed before what's on the other side spills into the rest of his life. And that is why I am speaking to you now. Before I reveal exactly what he did, you must know this. A window of grace has opened tonight, not next week, not next month, right now. A spiritual moment where change can happen quickly if you respond correctly. This is not fear. This is mercy. This is intervention. This is heaven stepping into the room before consequences solidify. My child, your son is not hopeless. He is not finished. He is not unredeemable. But he is walking on ground that cannot be ignored. And tonight, you and I must walk through this truth together. The truth about his choice. What matters most now is not guilt, shame, or fear over one difficult decision. No single moment has the power to permanently define a person unless they stop trying to grow from it. The truth many people avoid is that transformation rarely happens instantly. It is a process built through repeated choices, self-awareness, accountability, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths without running from them. Your son still has the ability to change direction, but that requires honesty about what is pulling him backward. Fear often disguises itself as practicality, distraction, or the excuse that there will always be another opportunity later. Yet the longer someone ignores their inner calling toward growth, healing, responsibility, or purpose, the easier it becomes to settle into emotional stagnation without even noticing it happening. This is why quiet compromise matters. The small decisions we repeat eventually shape our identity, our relationships, and our future. But there is also hope inside that reality, because small decisions can rebuild a life just as powerfully as they can weaken it. One honest conversation, one brave step, one moment of choosing discipline over avoidance can begin shifting someone back toward the person they are capable of becoming. Your role is not to control his journey through fear or pressure, but to encourage reflection, wisdom, and accountability with compassion. Growth rooted only in guilt rarely lasts. Growth rooted in understanding has the power to transform someone deeply. So rather than seeing this moment as the beginning of ruin, see it as an invitation for awareness. Sometimes people need to recognize how close they came to drifting too far before they fully understand the importance of choosing their future intentionally. He reached for something he knew he shouldn't touch. He agreed to something he had no business agreeing to. He entertained something he should have walked away from quickly. He embraced a temptation he had previously resisted. And in that single moment, he stepped out of alignment. Not because he was unaware, not because he was confused, not because he lacked guidance. He stepped out because the thing pulling him backwards felt easier than the thing calling him forward. This is what grieves me, my child. He chose the easy path when he was born to walk the narrow one. He chose the temporary comfort instead of the eternal promise. He chose the familiar bondage instead of the unfamiliar breakthrough. But listen closely. What he did today was not merely a personal failure. It was a spiritual exchange. He traded something divine for something shallow. He released something sacred and grabbed something empty. And that exchange is what froze the blessing that was coming toward him. Not destroyed it, not removed it, not canceled it, just paused it, waiting for the moment he realizes what he has done. You ask, Lord, what exactly did he do? What decision was so serious that it caused this? And my answer comes with clarity. Your son turned away from the very instruction I gave him. I nudged him. I warned him. I whispered to him. I placed conviction in his chest. I gave him clarity, signs, hints, even discomfort to make him think twice. But he fought the conviction until it grew silent. And when conviction grows silent, temptation grows louder. He felt the pressure of choosing correctly. He felt the weight of responsibility. He felt the demand for maturity. And instead of rising, he retreated. My child, your son did not fail because he was weak. He failed because he refused to step into strength. He did not fall because he lacked knowledge. He fell because he ignored the knowledge he had. He didn't collapse because he was unaware. He collapsed because he chose the path he has always chosen, the path of least resistance. But now, let me tell you the truth plainly. Your son knowingly walked into disobedience today, not rebellion, disobedience. The moment he chose silence instead of honesty, the moment he chose avoidance instead of correction, the moment he chose self over spirit, he stepped into the very thing that pulled him off the track I placed him on. This is the act that carries consequence. This is the moment that cannot be undone by pretending nothing happened. This is the reason heaven paused his blessing midair. But do not misunderstand this pause. It is not punishment. It is protection. If the blessing had reached him while his heart stood misaligned, it would have crushed him. If the breakthrough had entered his hands while his character resisted growth, he would have squandered it. If the door I opened had remained open while he walked in compromise, it would have led to disaster. So I paused it, because I would rather delay my gift than allow him to destroy himself with it. Now let me show you what this moment truly means. Your son's disobedience was not an act of hatred toward me. It was an act of attachment toward the thing he was supposed to release. He chose a person, a comfort, a habit, a fear, a pattern, a distraction, over destiny. And this choice is what caused the spiritual shift. My child, the danger of his action is not that it pushed me away, but that it pulled him away from me. Yet even in his mistake, I see something you do not see. I see the guilt rising in him already. I see the restlessness troubling him. I see the conviction returning. I see the heaviness forming in his spirit. I see the awareness of, I should not have done that, echoing inside him. Your son is not blind. He knows. He feels it. He senses the shift. He just doesn't know how to come back yet. Families often feel the impact of one person's struggles more deeply than anyone outside the home can understand. When someone begins drifting emotionally, making harmful choices, or carrying unresolved pain, it can quietly affect the atmosphere around everyone else. Tension grows more easily, communication becomes strained, and even small disagreements start carrying more emotional weight than they should. That is why moments like these require patience, understanding, and steady support instead of panic or blame. Right now, your role is not to carry fear about what has happened, but to become a source of stability while things feel uncertain. Sometimes the strongest person in a family is not the loudest one, but the one willing to remain calm enough to hold everyone together during difficult seasons. Your presence matters more than you realize. The way you respond, the words you choose, and the energy you bring into your home can either deepen conflict or create space for healing. Encouragement, honest conversation, and compassion have the power to restore trust where frustration once lived. When someone you love loses direction for a while, they often need support long before they are willing to admit it openly. This does not mean ignoring harmful behavior or refusing to set boundaries. It means responding with wisdom instead of anger alone. A home begins healing when someone chooses to protect connection rather than feed division. Tonight is not about carrying the impossible weight of fixing another person completely. It is about deciding to show up with clarity, strength, and hope, even when emotions feel complicated. The choices made inside a family during difficult moments often shape the future more than the mistake itself. A calm conversation, a sincere prayer, a moment of forgiveness, or simply refusing to give up on someone can slowly become the first step toward rebuilding what felt unstable only days before. And the moment he stepped off the path, 3 things began unfolding instantly, even though he hasn't yet realized it. These consequences are not designed to destroy him, but to wake him. They are not meant to crush him, but to confront him. They are not there to punish him, but to push him back into place. So listen closely, my child, because the price of his decision is already on the move. The first consequence is internal. Your son's peace has shifted. His heart will not feel settled the way it did before. A quiet restlessness will stir inside him, gentle at first, then gradually louder. He will feel tension without understanding its source. He will sense discomfort without being able to explain it. He will find it harder to pretend everything is normal because his spirit knows it is not. His smile will feel forced. His thoughts will scatter. His sleep will feel lighter. His conscience will whisper louder. He will not find the same sense of calm he felt before he made this choice. This is not torment. This is awakening. This is the internal pull of conviction, trying to guide him back before the wrong path strengthens its grip on him. The second consequence is relational. Someone he expects support from will suddenly grow distant or confused around him. He may feel misunderstood, unheard, or strangely disconnected from people who normally feel close. This is not an attack on him, this is a heavenly intervention. When a person steps out of alignment, their relationships begin reflecting their inner imbalance. People around him will sense he is not where he's supposed to be, even if they don't know why. Some will back away. Some will question him. Some will feel uneasy around him. This is heaven guarding him, keeping harmful influences from tightening their grip, preventing the wrong people from stepping closer, and ensuring that those who cannot help his growth will not affirm his fall. And then, my child, comes the third consequence, the most important one. The blessing I had prepared for him, the breakthrough that was rising toward him, the opportunity that was inches away from touching his life, has paused. A spiritual freeze has taken place, not out of anger, not out of rejection, but out of love. You must understand this deeply. I do not gift opportunities to hearts that are heading in the opposite direction of their calling. If I had allowed the blessing to reach him right after he turned his back on the instructions I gave him, it would have hurt him more than helped him. It would have fed his avoidance. It would have rewarded his fear. It would have confirmed, but wrongly, that misalignment still brings elevation, and I will never reinforce the wrong lesson. So I paused it. The blessing is still his. The breakthrough is still his. The opportunity is still his. But it will not be released until something inside him shifts. My child, listen carefully. There are moments in a person's life where heaven delays something, not because the person is unworthy, but because the person is not yet prepared to carry what is coming. Your son has not lost his blessing. He has simply lost access to it, temporarily. And that loss itself is part of the awakening. He will feel as if something good slipped away from his reach. He will feel like a door that was opening suddenly slowed down. He will feel frustration without knowing why. But this frustration is not the enemy's attack. It is my correction. It is me saying, you are meant for better than this path you just chose. My child, I know this is heavy. I know hearing this is not easy. You love him. You want to protect him. You want to shield him from consequences. But you must understand that consequences are not cruelty. They are teachers. Consequences are often the very tools that shift a person into maturity. They create clarity. They expose weakness. They reveal attachments that were hidden. They bring darkness into the light. They shake the soul awake. And right now, your son needs to be awakened more than he needs to be rescued. But don't fear, because even in the midst of consequence, there is something happening behind the scenes that you cannot see. Heaven has not abandoned him. Angels have not stepped away. His destiny has not been erased. In fact, I am closer to him now than before, because moments of misalignment are moments of divine attention. The enemy sees his mistake and hopes to use shame to paralyze him. But I see his mistake and intend to use conviction to free him. And this, my child, is where you come in. Your role is not to panic. Your role is not to condemn him. Your role is not to question yourself as a parent. Your role in difficult moments is not to live in constant fear or carry the weight of every outcome alone, but to become a source of steadiness, wisdom, and compassion for the people you love. Families often go through seasons where emotions run high, communication breaks down, and uncertainty creates tension that affects everyone in the home. During those times, the presence of one calm and grounded person can make a greater difference than they realize. Your words, your patience, your willingness to listen, and your ability to respond with care instead of panic all have the power to influence the atmosphere around you. Sometimes people underestimate the quiet strength found in encouragement, thoughtful guidance, and consistent support. But those small acts often become the foundation that helps others find their way again. When someone you care about is struggling, making poor choices, or feeling lost, it is natural to feel concern, frustration, or helplessness. Yet real influence rarely comes through fear or control. It comes through persistence, understanding, accountability, and the ability to remain present even when the situation feels overwhelming. Your prayers, reflections, and hopes for your family can be meaningful sources of comfort and direction, helping you remain emotionally centered while offering strength to others. At the same time, it is important to remember that every person faces internal battles between growth and self-destruction, discipline and distraction, purpose and delay. The future is shaped gradually through choices, habits, relationships, and the willingness to learn from mistakes rather than be defined by them. Someone standing at a crossroads may not fully understand the consequences of their decisions in the moment, which is why supportive guidance matters so deeply. Instead of seeing yourself as powerless, recognize the influence you already carry through your presence, your example, and your refusal to give up on the people you love. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is continuing to offer hope, clarity, and stability, while someone else is still finding the courage to change direction and move toward a healthier future. And today, he walked toward delay. But delay is not destruction, it is a wake-up call, and the call has already begun shaking his spirit. Everything he tries to do in the next hours will feel slightly off. Not failing, but not smooth. Not blocked, but not flowing. Not broken, but not blessed. This feeling is my hand, letting him know, you stepped out. It's time to step back in. And my child, he will. He may not show it immediately, but his spirit is already stirring. But for the restoration to fully unfold, for the blessing to unpause, for the opportunity to reopen, one thing must happen first. My child, listen closely, because what I am about to tell you now is not only the conclusion of this journey, but the very key that will shift everything in your son's life if you receive it, hold it, and act on it. I want you to breathe, I want your heart steady, and I want your spirit open, because the words I am about to release are not just information, they are instruction, restoration, and prophecy woven together. Everything that has happened with your son today, every shift, every pause, every moment of discomfort, was not to destroy him. It was to get your attention and his attention at the same time. It was to pull both of you into a moment heaven designed long before this day even arrived. You must understand this deeply, my beloved child. Your son has not fallen beyond reach. He has not stepped into darkness so deep that I cannot pull him out. He has not drifted so far that my voice cannot call him back. Today's failure was loud, but my mercy is louder. His mistake shook the atmosphere, but my purpose shakes eternity. You see the moment, but I see the story. You see the stumble, but I see the journey. You see the flaw, but I see the future. And I am telling you with absolute certainty, this day will not end in destruction, but in transformation. But before that transformation manifests, there is a final truth you must understand. Your son did not simply make a wrong choice today. He surrendered to the weight of something that has been following him for a long time. A pattern, a weakness, a fear, a distraction, a wound. Something that whispers to him at the edges of his mind. Something that pulls him backward every time he is close to moving forward. And today, that old familiar voice sounded louder than the voice of destiny. He didn't choose wrong because he wanted to ruin his life. He chose wrong because something inside him has not healed yet. Something inside him still believes he is not worthy of what I am trying to give him. Something inside him is intimidated by the magnitude of the blessing that was approaching him. Something inside him fears responsibility, elevation, growth, and accountability. My child, many people destroy blessings not because they are evil, but because they do not believe they deserve them. And your son is fighting a silent battle inside himself, one you do not see, one he does not talk about, one he tries to outrun instead of confront. That is why his choice today carried so much weight. It wasn't about the action, it was about the condition of his heart behind that action. His heart is tired. His soul is conflicted. His mind is noisy. His spirit is unsettled. And because of that inner storm, he reached for the wrong thing at the wrong time. But do not fear, because inner storms are places where I do my greatest work. I rebuild a person from the inside out. I remove lies. I lift burdens. I cut chains. I reveal truth. Nothing that is broken inside him is beyond my ability to heal. But now comes the part you must hear with great seriousness. What he did today created a spiritual delay. That delay is real. It is active. Some pauses arrive as protection, giving people the chance to reflect, regain balance, and reconnect with the version of themselves that was getting lost in pressure, fear, or emotional exhaustion. The breakthrough was not removed forever. It was simply held back until the foundation beneath it became stronger and more stable. Had everything arrived during a moment of confusion or imbalance, it could have been mishandled in ways that created even deeper pain later on. That is why reflection matters so much right now. There is still a path forward, still a chance for restoration, healing, and renewed direction, but it begins with awareness and honesty about what truly needs to change. And whether you fully recognize it or not, your presence has been carrying more influence in this situation than anyone openly admits. You have been the steady voice during chaos, the calm in moments where emotions threaten to take over, the source of encouragement when hope started fading inside the people around you. Your strength has quietly supported others through seasons they may never completely explain to you. The patience, care, and faith you continued offering, even while carrying your own exhaustion, have created stability inside your household more times than you realize. People lean on your resilience because it gives them something solid to hold on to when life feels uncertain. Now the focus is not on fear, punishment, or spiritual warfare, but on rebuilding clarity, trust, and alignment inside everyday life. Real transformation begins when people stop seeing setbacks as the end of their story and start recognizing them as opportunities to grow wiser, stronger, and more intentional about the future they are creating together. Your voice has the power to shift atmospheres around him. Tonight, when you pray, not in fear, not in frustration, not in anxiety, but in authority, I will respond immediately. I will send clarity into his mind. I will send conviction into his heart. I will send peace into his spirit. I will send protection around his path. Your prayer will not float into empty space. It will strike the atmosphere like lightning, and the spiritual fog surrounding him will begin to break. The confusion clouding him will begin to fade. The heaviness pressuring him will begin to lift. Your voice will guide him back to the place where he stepped out of alignment. And understand this: he does not need to confess aloud for me to begin restoring him. The moment he thinks the truth, the moment he feels regret, the moment he whispers a silent apology inside his heart, the atmosphere around him will begin to shift. I am not waiting for a perfect prayer from him. I am waiting for an honest moment within him, and he will have that moment soon. The discomfort he feels tonight will push him toward it. The restlessness stirring in him will lead him to it. The sudden awareness that something is off will guide him into reflection, and in that internal reflection, he will finally see what he could not see earlier today. Now listen closely, my child, because this is the part where everything becomes prophetic. What he lost today will come back. Not instantly, not automatically, but certainly. The blessing that paused will start moving again. The opportunity that slowed will accelerate. The divine timing that froze will unlock. You will witness this shift with your own eyes. He will walk back into alignment, not because he is forced, but because he is chosen. You think today showed his weakness, but I tell you today, revealed his potential. I allow missteps to expose what must be healed. I allow delays to prepare what must be strengthened. I allow discomfort to guide a person into truth they have been avoiding. Your son is not falling apart, he is being rebuilt. He is not drifting away, he is being redirected. He is not losing his destiny. He is growing into the version of himself who can carry it properly. And you, my beloved child, are not watching a disaster. You are witnessing the beginning of his spiritual maturity. A new hunger will rise in him. A new awareness will awaken inside him. A new humility will anchor in him. He will not remain the same after today. He cannot remain the same. Heaven has intervened. And now, one final truth. The truth you must hold tightly to. This moment was not sent to break your family. This moment was sent to build it. Your son will rise from this stronger, wiser, deeper, more disciplined, more aware, and more grateful. You will rise from this clearer, steadier, and more spiritually sharp. Your household will rise from this with unity, with understanding, with purpose. What the enemy hoped to use as a foothold, I have turned into a foundation. So do not tremble tonight. Do not panic. In those moments, the mind often reaches for certainty, trying to turn uncertainty into a clear story with guarantees about outcomes. But life rarely offers that kind of fixed certainty, even when things begin to shift or feel emotionally intense. What can be more grounding is recognizing that change in another person's life is usually not a single turning point, but a gradual process shaped by experience, choices, and support over time. When someone appears to be struggling or drifting, it can feel like everything is moving toward loss or failure. But what you're often seeing is a transitional phase that isn't fully formed yet. It's not the end of anything. It's movement, even if it's unclear where it leads. In those periods, fear tends to amplify worst-case interpretations, while hope can sometimes oversimplify things into guaranteed outcomes. The reality usually sits somewhere quieter in between, where progress and setbacks exist side by side. Rather than trying to force certainty about what will happen next, it can help to focus on what remains within reach, how you respond, how you support, and how you stay steady while things are unsettled. If you hold on to a belief that everything must already be decided or quote a great, it can create pressure that doesn't match how life actually unfolds. People grow through time, reflection, and the consequences of their own choices, often in ways that aren't immediately visible. What looks like confusion today can later become a turning point, but it doesn't arrive fully labeled in advance. Instead of expecting a guaranteed outcome, there is more stability in allowing space for gradual change without rushing its direction. Hope can still exist without certainty, and care can still be present without needing control over results. What matters most is staying engaged in what is real right now, rather than trying to resolve the entire future at once.